Tristan Law Show. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Tristan Law, some retired pro wrestler, and today, I'm your host. Well, we are in our, episode 3 of our 5-part WWE Unreal recap episode thingy that we're doing. Episode 3 of WWE Unreal is called The Vision, and I don't think that's just a casual title, because a vision isn't really about survival. It's more about control. It's about deciding where this thing is going before anyone else gets to question it. Episode 1 of Unreal, it showed us the grind. Episode 2, it showed us the cost. Episode 3 shows us the blueprint. And the real question tonight, because we're doing this tonight, the real question tonight is simple. Is the vision collaborative, or is it top-down brilliance dressed up as collaboration? Because when WWE says that they have a plan, that means someone at top already sees the board. And the question is that I want to know is who is it? Whether you're watching live or on demand, it's fully interactive. I want to hear from you. We've got a survey going on, and in the survey we are asking, does WWE have a clear long-term vision right now? So there are 3 choices. I keep it at 3 because 3 is easy to understand, right? You see this one, that one, or that one. Not this one, that one, or maybe that one. So it's yes, is it obvious? Somewhat but evolving? Or too early to tell? Which is it? But let's get into the episode itself. And the first major piece on that board, on that chessboard for the WWE, is Penta. You see, I think that Penta had a really good showing in that episode. It wasn't about his debut so much. It was more so about his message, because Penta has a style, and his style is not the traditional WWE style. But you know what is? His presentation is. They created that presentation for him within the chamber of the WWE. And WWE clearly frames him as a certainty, not a gamble, right? He's introduced as the cultural bridge between, the luchadors, the Hispanic Spanish-speaking audience and the WWE. And then it's also us who are not really too familiar with the luchador-style wrestling. That's what Penta does for us. Because obviously, lucha-style wrestling is a lot more than Rey Mysterio. In case you didn't know, it's a lot more than Rey Mysterio. Penta's also a global star. That's why I think that he's a great fit for the WWE, because he made a name for himself in Mexico. And then he made a name for himself globally at AEW. Well, semi-globally at AEW, right? I think that's where he got a lot of attention, was in AEW. But then he went on to the WWE now, and this is where he becomes a global star. This is where he gets the opportunity to wrestle in Australia, Saudi Arabia, China, Japan, all those other places underneath that WWE banner. And I think that's where the money is made. You see, because when somebody like Penta comes into the WWE, he's already a ready-made asset. All they have to do is just connect him to the machine and just let him go. He explains, Penta, the mask in episode 3 of season 2 of Unreal. And the explanation of the mask, it really matters, because it's not just aesthetic, it's identity for the luchador style wrestler. You can, watching them showcase Penta the way that they did, said to me that we understand luchador style wrestling now, because they had Rey Mysterio to make the mold with, and everybody else from Sin Cara and everybody else to kind of drop the ball with. Because I don't think that there's a bigger star that is underneath a mask right now, traditional luchador. I'm not talking about the Grande Americanos, because you know who they really are, do you?
Bing bang.
Hey, what's up, Fernando? Fernando's here! What's up, Fernando? Sorry for making you guys come out so late. You know, I got a lot of things going on. And I said, you know what? Let's do a show where everybody can come in and hang out and talk and still make it to go back and watch AEW. If that's what you want to do tonight, you can go ahead and watch AEW, and I will not stop you. We'll be done right before AEW starts. But WWE, they had an opportunity with somebody like Rey Mysterio. Luchador-style wrestling, in case you didn't know, is a lot more than just Rey Mysterio. The mask. The mask is everything in luchador style wrestling. And somebody taking your mask is like somebody taking your identity as a regular person on the street. You guard your identity with your life. Because once your identity's gone, then who are you? Like, you can't really pick out Penta walking around in the street. You can't. The subtle tension is WWE is finally saying, we get it. Right? Now they're saying, how do we make more money on it? AAA is now like a fourth brand for the WWE, in case you didn't know. AAA is a fourth brand for the WWE. Why do I feel that way? Because I watch it on YouTube. When you watch it, how does it start? With the WWE Then Now Forever Open. If it wasn't a WWE show, it wouldn't get the Then Now Forever Open. AAA is a WWE show. And what they're doing, they're going to be using people like Penta. They're even using the Americano, the Grande Americano and the Original Americano. They're utilizing them to bridge us to AAA. Let me tell you something. I used to watch AAA when I was a kid. That's what I used to watch. But now as an adult, I don't really watch it too much. But now I watch AAA. Why? Because I get to see all my favorite stars on there from the WWE. Dominic Mysterio is a huge star, and he's on AAA right now. He's their main champion. Let's go to the chat. It's blowing up. Fernando says that division should be scrapped. Chris Gallegos, what's going on, Chris? Chris is here. Chris says that CM Punk thinks fans are full of poo-poo. Fernando says Braun Breaker was the Vision's final hope to salvage the Vision storyline. I don't think that Braun Breaker is fully out all the way. I think that with the hernia, that he can be out 4 to 6 weeks. He could be back just in time for WrestleMania. I think the story with the Vision, it kind of stalled right now because Seth is not there, right? Because there's supposed to be more to it. Seth is not there. There's another chapter right now because now the masked person attacked LA Knight. I want to do a whole entire episode where we are trying to figure out who the masked person is, because who we thought it was, it can't be who it is. It can't be Logan Paul because Logan Paul was right there. And somebody on the internet even said that it was Adam Pearce. It can't be Adam Pearce because Adam Pearce is right there. It can't be Austin Theory because Austin Theory was right there. WWE allowed us, we're talking about the Vision. WWE allowed us to believe who we wanted to believe, and then 2 weeks later put the guy on TV and said, nah, that's not him, and said, nah, that's not him, try again. So who is it? That's a whole entire episode by itself. Fernando's saying that it's Montez Ford. You know, Fernando, I don't hate that idea too much. So if you and I were sitting in the writer's room trying to figure out who we're going to put behind that mask, right? And you said it's going to be Montez Ford. I'm asking you, why is it Montez Ford? What's his modus operandi? Why is he doing it? Why does he all of a sudden want to attack these people and make it make sense? I'm looking for that in the chat. I'm looking for that in the chat. And I lost my little switcher here, man. You know, things just happen. Let's see if we can get it to come back. Yep, it comes right back. See, technology. I just love it. I just love it. Chris says that it's John Moxley. John Moxley hates Paul Heyman's guts. Chris, I don't think that it's John Moxley. And the reason why I don't think it's John Moxley is because John Moxley is in AEW. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not too sure on that one. Going back to episode 3 of season 2 of Unreal, I brought up Rey Mysterio a couple minutes ago, right? Making the comparison, kind of. And Rey Mysterio is the measuring stick for all luchadors. I'm going to stand on a limb, and if I didn't say this before, I'm going to stand on a limb. And I'm going to say that Penta feels like the biggest masked star since Rey Mysterio. They tried with Sin Cara. Sin Cara wasn't it. You know, they had a bunch of other masked people in the WWE right now, and that's not it. Look, I'm even going to go further on a limb, and I'm going to go to WWE.com and I'm going to look at the roster, and I'm going to look at all the masked people there, and I can't find one that I can really say is a big star. Axiom, I don't think he's that big of a star as compared to Rey Mysterio. I think Penta's a bigger star than he is, and we're still scrolling down to see who else. Like Dragon Lee, I don't think that Dragon Lee is that big of a star as compared to Rey Mysterio. When people see Penta, Penta's a whole entire experience. El Grande Americano, I'm not really counting him because he's not really a luchador. Or is he a luchador? I don't know. He's an asterisk. We ain't really counting him. So it's going to keep it pushing like shopping carts. I just made that up. Keep it pushing like shopping carts. I like that. Why is Johnny Gargano and Jordan Grace wearing the same exact color gear? Maybe that means something. What if, I just had a crazy idea. I had a crazy idea just now. Looking at the WWE roster and trying to, and I just stopped at a person. What if the person that is attacking everybody on behalf of Seth Rollins, what if that person is Lexis King? Oh, no, I'm going to let y'all hold on to that for a second. Ryan, 1984-86, never seen your name before, but welcome. He says that Dragon Lee's underrated. He also says that nobody is Rey Mysterio. Fernando, talking about the mask, says, what if it's Chris Jericho? I can wrap my head around Chris Jericho. But the question that I want to ask is why? Why is he underneath the mask? Why is he underneath it? Why has he not revealed himself yet? What is it that he's hiding? Fernando says it's Montez because he's tired of carrying around Dawkins and wants to be a single world champion. I don't hate that. Chris Gallego says that if Chelsea Green thinks she's better than Mercedes Moné, she needs to prove it and get on the ball. You see, we're going to talk about her a little bit more in this episode here, because I don't think that they see Chelsea Green as a big time main eventer, and we're going to talk about it in just a little bit. But I don't think there's anybody been a bigger star as Rey Mysterio. And yeah, Ryan, thank you so much for your message. I understand that, nobody's Rey Mysterio, right? There's only going to be one Rey Mysterio. But put somebody inside that box to where they're a star in the WWE that bridges people from Mexico, right? From Spanish-speaking cultures over to America. I only see it being right now just Penta, if not including Rey Mysterio. Because look, don't get it wrong. At the end of the day, WWE is a business, and it's all about trying to get money from different demographics, right? If they can get somebody that speaks Spanish only to get excited when Penta comes out, and to encourage them to buy a Penta t-shirt, to buy Penta action figures, I think that's a win. Because, representation is everything. Everybody wants to see somebody like them on the television. Fernando says that Chelsea Green injured her ankle. She did. Fernando says that Eddie Guerrero was just as popular or as great as Rey Mysterio. And I like that comment. I think that they came off the backs of WCW and, and ECW. And if Eddie Guerrero was still alive today, like sometimes I sit around and I think, right, about all the people that we've lost, in the form of entertainment. Imagine if Chris Benoit never did what he did and he was still alive today. Imagine what contributions he'd be bringing to pro wrestling as a whole. Eddie Guerrero could have been one of the greatest decorated champions of all time, main event champions of all time. Because of the closing of ECW and WWE, it displaced a lot of the wrestlers that were there. I got the opportunity to get to train and befriend some of those people. What if I would have eventually ran into somebody like Eddie Guerrero, and Eddie Guerrero would have took a liking to me, took me underneath his wing, and we'd be in a different place right now? I don't know. If Penta is the statement about global expansion, there's another person that we have to talk about in this whole entire conundrum. Let's talk about Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is a statement about internal evolution. That's what he is. You see, Seth Rollins isn't just carrying the company anymore. And yes, you have to be able to admit it, that Seth Rollins, he's carrying the company. We were complaining a couple months ago that I wasn't, but some people were complaining a couple months ago that Seth Rollins was everywhere. Everywhere you look, every single story, Seth Rollins is in every single story. But Seth Rollins is in a place that you could change him in and out. You still see the effects of Seth Rollins being involved in every single story. You see, when we're looking at Seth Rollins in WWE Unreal, episode 1 that he was in, it set the table. Episode 3, we're all ready to eat, and we're still at the appetizers. Seth Rollins is 3 things. Watching episode 3, and let me know what you guys think. I'm going to go back and read the chat in a second. So get all your messages in. I'm going to go back and read them. Seth Rollins is 3 things. 3. He's a workhorse. Can't deny that. He is the bridge. He's the era bridge. Meaning that Seth Rollins was the last ever where a lot of great people came in. Him, Roman, Dean Ambrose, now Jon Moxley, Charlotte Flair, Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, Bayley, Becky Lynch. Probably forgot somebody. Asuka. That's the last generation where you saw the big shift that's happening. There wasn't anybody that was really taking people underneath their wings and utilizing their star power to make their star power a lot better. Yeah, you had Triple H with Evolution, Triple H and Ric Flair with Evolution. For what Triple H and Ric Flair did to Batista and Randy Orton is what Seth Rollins is doing to everybody that he touches. He's the bridge of the era, and not many people are doing that. Because you see, in pro wrestling is a very, even though it takes many people to tango to tell the story, pro wrestling is a very solitary thing. You got to watch out for yourself. Only one name goes on the contract. Only one name gets the headline WrestleMania. Well, 2 names get the headline WrestleMania. There's 2 spots. Your name and somebody else's. So everybody's just so protective of their space. They don't want anybody in their space. Seth Rollins doesn't seem to care about that. You know why? Because he knows that his spot is secure. Seth Rollins is 3 things I said. I already gave you 2. He's the workhorse, he's the era bridge, and the 3rd thing is that he's the builder of the next generation. How? How, Tristan? How is Seth Rollins the builder of the next generation? He's got the school, the Black and Brave school. Seth Rollins is the builder of the next generation. He's mentoring talent behind the scenes of WWE, coaching them up, help them become bigger superstars. Seth Rollins is the builder of the next generation. One of the things that I talked about with John Cena is that you need to leave the pro wrestling business better than when you found it. Your last day in the WWE, you need to leave the pro wrestling business better than you found it. And Seth Rollins is already doing that, and he's still there. Let's go to the chat. Let's see what you guys got. Let's see what you guys got. You guys did a lot of talking. Let's see. Chris says that Becky Lynch is boxed in with the feud with AJ Lee. Yeah, I'm pretty interested to see where that goes. Ryan says, I think they should have signed Penta 5 years ago. He's a bit slower now than he was then. I don't hate that comment. But let me tell you why I hate that comment. Because 5 years ago, Vince McMahon was still running the show. With Vince McMahon, the thing about pro wrestling is that you're playing with toys, pretty much. And depending on how well you understand to play with the toys determines the kind of stories that you tell. I don't think that Vince McMahon could have accurately told the right stories with somebody like Penta. I think that Penta is benefiting so much from being underneath the Triple H regime. But the other thing that I think that Penta benefits a lot from too is AEW. 5 years ago, AEW was still brand new. And I think that anybody that goes to AEW, it's a tried and true way to figure out if you work on camera. Meaning, do people in America get to react to you? That's why I think that TNA and AEW are great for the ecosystem. And they all essentially feed WWE. Granted, when WWE doesn't want them anymore, they're chewing them up and they get chewed up and spit out. Where do they go? They go to the indies to benefit independent shows. You don't have to pay, MetLife Stadium prices to go see, I don't know, I'm just going to name somebody, John Cena, because John Cena's wrestling on the indies. You now get somebody like John Cena wrestling in AEW and TNA, but you get those people that want to get to AEW, that want to get to WWE, they get to cut their teeth in AEW or TNA for WWE to say, you know what, let me check that guy out. Let me see what that guy's doing. Let me see how he's reacting. You get to see how they react on a global scale. And I think that if Penta was to have got signed by the WWE 5 years before, they wouldn't really understand what he is. He wouldn't have a true body of work. Very good call out, Ryan. Very good call out. Chris says that Jesus Zulinga is my favorite Lucha Libre AAA commentator. Both Conan and Eddie Guerrero were the Louis Farrakhan of the Hispanic culture. Chris, what does that mean? Chris, what does that mean? I'm going to have to buzz you for that. Thanks for the comments, too. Fernando says that Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio had one of the greatest matches at Halloween Havoc. I believe that you're talking about the match where Rey Mysterio was dressed up in all purple. It was purple and black. Yes, that was a great match. You're going to make me, Fernando, when we're done with this, go watch the WCW Vault channel, the WCW channel on YouTube, the official WCW channel on YouTube, to see if I can find that video. Because, I'm trying to get my little fitness thing on. So I'll be sitting there riding the bike, and when I'm riding the bike, I'm watching wrestling. But like I was telling Jess yesterday, the day before, 2 days ago, if I'm sitting there working out and I'm watching wrestling, that's dangerous. You know why? It's going to make me want to do it again. Chris says that Conan and Jeff Jarrett never got along in AAA. Fernando says that Seth Rollins is the best worker in WWE when 100% healthy. I don't dispute that. I think that Seth Rollins has a great mind. And when you hear the way how he talks about pro wrestling, I wish I could sit underneath his learning tree to get the unadulterated, the unfiltered version of how he really thinks about pro wrestling. Because don't get it wrong, even though that Unreal is there, they're not giving us everything, right? Because there's still some things you got to pay for. And I wish that I can go to Seth Rollins and just sit down and I'm like, you know what, sir? Teach me. Tell me how you think about pro wrestling. Because the thing about pro wrestling is, as a pro wrestler, semi-retired pro wrestler, your host, Tristan Law, thank you very much. One of the things about pro wrestling, the way that I look at it, is that it's art. And the presentation that you guys, that we, the fans, get to see, to me, that's a canvas. So it's a blank canvas. And what we do as the pro wrestlers is that we paint that canvas for you. Everybody tells a different style of art. And some is beautiful, and some you just don't understand. Like, for example, right? Some people love AEW style wrestling. Some people despise WWE style wrestling. But when you look at something that is confusing, like the Firefly Funhouse, you're like, I don't really get that. But there's some people that saw it and saw the brilliance and the art in it. To me, that's pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is brilliant, and it's art. Chris says that I hope ESPN dumps WWE and takes AEW instead of WWE. I don't think that's happening. Fernando says the best class of young talent ever. Yeah, I think you're talking about what I was talking about with Roman Reigns, Jon Moxley, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins, Charlotte Flair. Yeah. And they left big shoes for everybody else to fill. Big shoes for everybody else to fill. And I think that about every 10 years, WWE goes into like this cycle. It might not be 10 years. It might be give or take a few years in either direction. But there was a time that it was Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, Mankind, The Undertaker, and Kane, and kind of Triple H. And then like Triple H was like the bridge, and then it was Triple H. Then you had Batista, you had Randy Orton, and then I'm trying to think of names up there as well too. Then eventually you got the next generation in there. You even had you got John Cena in there. You got Edge. Edge finally came up. So it's like every couple of years, they wash. They hit the reset button. They turn the hourglass upside down in his head, and they start thinking. I think every couple of years what the WWE does is they look at their top stars. They look at people like Roman Reigns. All right, Roman Reigns is a 40-year-old man. How much longer can he be here? How much longer does he want to be here? Because WWE Pro Wrestling, WWE is a lot different than it was in 2016, than it was in 2006. That it was in 1996, right? Guys are making money. Girls are making money. They don't have to stay there forever until their last bump is in the ground. They don't have to at all. I think that's one of the perks about this new generation is that it puts the proverbial gun to the head to the promoter. You have to think ahead. The people are not going to stay here until they're 50, right? AJ Styles says he don't want to wrestle until he's 50. 20 years ago, that would have been unheard of. You wrestle until your last day on the earth. But guys are getting a lot of money. Wrestlers are getting a lot better with saving their money. So every couple of years, the WWE has to figure out who's going to replace the big stars. So right now, your big stars are who? Your Jey Usos, right? Jey Uso. Jey Uso is 40. You're looking at Roman Reigns, 40. Seth Rollins might be 39, 40. Right? So all these people at the top, CM Punk, almost 50. You're looking at all these people here. And it's like, who is going to replace them? And right now, what we're seeing the change. We're seeing the replacements that are coming in. Don't worry, I'm going to get you out of here just in time so that you can go ahead and watch AEW Dynamite if that's what you want to do. Don't worry, we still got plenty of time. But what I'm asking you to do is to subscribe if you haven't. I'm working on going to 1,000 subscribers. We're about 130 odd some odd subscribers away from going to 1,000. I need all of your help. Tell your friends. Share this with somebody. Just you know what? If you're watching live right now, go ahead and share this. Or you know what? Maybe you're watching on your TV. right? And you want to say, you know what? I'm cleaning around the house or doing something around. Maybe you're driving. Don't touch your phone while you're driving. Don't want you to get into an accident. But share this with somebody. Share this on your social media. Say, hey, this is a show that I like. It's about pro wrestling. If you like pro wrestling, check it out. Check it out. Share the show. Trying to get to 1,000. Once we get to 1,000, we're going to rebrand the whole channel to the 830 Wrestling Network, even though we're halfway there. We're halfway there. If you find Tristan Law Show on all social medias, it's already 90% rebranded to 830 Wrestling Network. That's what we are. It's bigger than me. Main Event Conversations with Cheyenne Ortiz is on this channel. You got the Tristan Law Show here on this channel. We're growing. We're growing. Doing some things. Going back to the chat. Fernando says, Chris, you're wrong. Oh, wait, hold on. Wait. We got to go back a little bit. Conan was, okay, Chris says that Conan was the voice of Lucha Libre culture. They made Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio the spokesperson for Lucha Libre. That's why. Chris says Conan made Lucha Libre popular since the days of El Santo. Conan was the king of AAA. Fernando says that, Chris, you are wrong. El Santo made Lucha Libre popular. Chris says, I prefer old school wrestling, like Mid-South, UWF, World Class Championship, Jim Crockett. Fernando says, never mind, Chris. I misunderstood your last comment. Old school wrestling is superior, Chris. I don't know, bro. I like old school wrestling too, but I really like the new school stuff too. Ryan says, Logan Paul is the best heel they have right now, if you think about it. He's one of them. They have a lot right now. I think my favorite heel right now in the WWE, one of them is Gunther. Love Gunther. I can't wait for them to really get into his character on WWE Unreal. But we're talking about WWE Unreal Episode 3, Season 2. One of the 3 things that I just mentioned about Seth Rollins. 3 things, 3 attributes that I'm mentioning about Seth Rollins. He's a workhorse. He's era bridge. He's bridging the era. And the 3rd thing, he's a build of the next generation. He's doing something that many before him didn't. He's working to leave the business better than it was while he's still in it. That's an evolution of thinking for pro wrestling, because he's not just protecting the future. He being Seth Rollins. He's defining it. He's putting his finger on the next generation of the WWE, because you know what? Maybe he doesn't want to be a 60-year-old man running around the WWE, making the towns. I don't know. Maybe that's not something he wants to do. But you know what? While he still has a name that has value on it, he brings people along like Bronson Reed, even though that Bronson Reed's a lot older. I think Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins and us, we're almost in the same age group. Braun Breaker's a younger one. Braun Breaker's the future. You got people like Braun Breaker, Trick Williams. You got Obafemi. I promise you when I tell you this, there's going to be a lot of culture at the top of the WWE within the next 5 years. And I've said this before. You've got Lash Legend. You've got so many different people. They're working even on the ladies division of getting those talents to the main roster and mentored up and moving up. WWE is positioning Seth Rollins as someone whose value won't expire when his in-ring days slow down. I see somebody like Seth Rollins being in the back as an agent, maybe as a writer, maybe as a trainer at the Performance Center. I don't know. But Seth Rollins is really valuable. Really valuable what he's doing. But when you talk about shaping the future, there's one presence, in my opinion, that changes the temperature immediately. Who am I talking about? Changing the future. There's only one person that I could be talking about, and the person I'm talking about is Paul Heyman. I'm angry that Paul Heyman didn't play the Penguin. I'm sorry, it looks like the Penguin. Sorry, not sorry. When Paul Heyman talks about the future, history usually follows, because his presence, it shifts the tone instantly. When you look at Paul Heyman, this guy right here, wrong way, here. When you look at Paul Heyman, you know that Paul Heyman is ECW. You know that he's calculated. You know that he's persuasive. And you know belief is currency. Paul Heyman is framed as three things. Paul Heyman is framed as a mentor, a myth maker, and an advocate. And you see all of that in WWE Unreal. You see him there advocating for people. He was advocating for Penta. We only get to see a little clip of what's going on. If he's advocating for Penta like that, imagine what he does for your favorite pro wrestling stars. He's the myth maker. He's back there. Paul Heyman is back there trying to help tell the stories. If ECW didn't go out of business, if ECW had AEW money, it would have definitely gave WWF a run for its money back in the day along with WCW. ECW was ran by Paul Heyman, this guy right here. Right here. And the mind on that guy, the way that he talks about wrestling, the way that the way that Paul Heyman advocates for other wrestlers, I'm going to say it's because his dad was a lawyer. Paul Heyman's dad was a lawyer, and that's how Paul Heyman probably learned to advocate, how to sell you on somebody. And he's a mentor. He wants to leave the pro wrestling business better than when he found it. But then there's tension. When you look at Paul Heyman, the man, and you look at Paul Heyman, the character, I think that sometimes you can't tell who is who, right? You can't tell who is who. Paul Heyman was known in ECW for being shady. The guy that tell you, oh, don't worry, the check is coming. Don't worry, the check is coming. Don't worry, the check is coming. It never came. It never came. Paul Heyman still owe people money. Paul Heyman is seen as shady and not trustworthy. But when you see Paul Heyman on TV, you just know that he is shady and not trustworthy. You don't know who starts where and who ends where or which way to go. I think that the WWE keeping Paul Heyman close to the vision gives it legitimacy.
Thank you.
It gives mad scientists access to the lab. And when Paul Heyman endorses something, it doesn't feel random. It feels intentional. When he endorsed CM Punk became the man. When he endorsed Brock Lesnar became the man. When he endorsed Roman Reigns became the man. So now what about when he endorses Braun Breaker? Does Braun Breaker become the man? Mackenzie's here. What's going on, Mackenzie? Mackenzie's 1998 says Triple H is ruined. Austin Theory, didn't protect him like he's doing Rhea Ripley. She's getting a major push and not putting anybody over like Roxanne Perez. She's younger and could be the face of the division. I think that Roxanne has an upside to her as well too, and we haven't seen it yet. I think that everybody that's sour on Austin Theory right now, I'm asking everybody to wait. Because I think there's a lot more meat on the bone and we just haven't gotten there yet. With the whole Vision storyline and Seth Rollins and everything else like that, there's still more. Ryan says, Logan Paul is the best heel right now. If you think about it, I think we read that already. Ryan says that they haven't really figured out Braun's character yet. I think that that's what's probably holding Braun back from going to the top. Like, we know Braun is good. We know Braun is special. We know that Braun is a super freak athlete. But there has to be something that makes him, character-wise, I believe, stand out above the crowd. Braun Breaker's that guy. And I don't even think that I should even be saying this because I wrestled but never wrestled for WWE. But I think that Braun Breaker's 99.9999999% in there. He's only missing that one small part. Maybe it's the right storyline. Maybe it's the right the right person standing across from him. in the ring to bring it out of him, to make him the man. I'm putting my money on Braun Breaker, and I don't feel like I'm going to fail on Braun Breaker. But Braun Breaker, I think Braun Breaker's still a work in progress. He is in the lab with the mad scientist known as Paul Heyman. We're talking about Paul Heyman, right? We're going to look at the most underrated part of this episode. There was somebody in this episode that was really underrated, and that person's name is Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green, she is the future of the WWE, and she's not positioned as a main eventer in WWE Unreal. She is positioned as somebody that is reliable, as somebody that's sustainable, as somebody that will probably always have a job with the WWE, as a top mid-carder. But the way they're presenting her was that she couldn't be that person. And I think that Chelsea Green enjoys where she is. You know, maybe she won't make that big WrestleMania money, but she's there for the longevity, right? I think that Chelsea Green, she represents three things in that episode. She represents versatility, reliability, and she fits the system. Versatility, she's willing to go anywhere. Any way that they want her to go, she doesn't argue. Because she said in her own words that she understands that what we're doing is not real. I think that's one of the biggest issues with me when I was wrestling, was that I took it a little bit too serious. That I smelled myself a little bit too much. And when I was wrestling, I didn't allow myself to have any fun because I was a little bit unversatile. I was reliable. If I told you I was going to be somewhere, I'd be somewhere. I don't think I've ever seen Chelsea Green ever had a bad match. She's reliable. You can rely on Chelsea Green. She fits the WWE system. She has an over-the-top character, her being Chelsea Green. But Chelsea Green is not positioned as a main eventer. They don't see her as a main eventer. But she's also proof that mid-card talent can buy wealth. Right? They can build wealth. She's got land. She's got a home. She's got a life. That's stability. Everybody, we all go to wrestling school and say, you know what if we could main event WrestleMania? Because we've been accustomed to believe, which is true, that when you're a mid-carder, you're not making that much money. In order for you to make money, you got to go to the main event. It's true. But Chelsea Green was able to buy a plot of land, build a home that she wants on it, and build a life. Granted, she has Matt Cardona, but Matt Cardona's not a main eventer. Matt Cardona was talking about how he made $10,000, what is it, $30,000 off of an indie match, off of putting things together, not only just the payday, but merch and toys and collectibles, all that stuff. So yeah, it's a two-income family. Chelsea Green is one of those people that have a job as a long time. Chelsea Green is who I wish R-Truth would be. When I say that, I mean that R-Truth is just funny all the damn time. But when you see Chelsea Green is funny. Chelsea Green is entertaining. But you know what? Don't you sleep on Chelsea Green for a second. Because the minute you rest your head on that pillow for a little bit too long, Chelsea Green, she's going to slit your throat.
Bing bong.
Chelsea Green is who I wish R-Truth would be. Chelsea Green will always have a job with the WWE. Let me not say that. Because the last time I said that about somebody, R-Truth, they fired him a couple days later. Chelsea Green is always going to have a job, though, with the WWE. She's reliable. She's entertaining. Chelsea Green makes you stop. She makes me stop. I don't fast forward towards past Chelsea Green. Mackenzie says, Triple H wasted the opportunity to build up Randy Orton heel turn against Cody Rhodes. That could have been the storyline of the year, but Triple H dragged the Drew versus Cody storyline for months. Thank you for your comment, Mackenzie. You have to see the way that WWE is booking these days, how Triple H is booking. And I'm not saying this to judge you. I'm saying this to give you a different way to think about this. Triple H, in this new era of booking, it's no longer booking from pay-per-view to pay-per-view. It used to be you're booking from, your in your house pay-per-views, which turned into your No Mercies, your Judgment Days, your Unforgivens, all those. Then you would book to your big pay-per-view, your SummerSlams, your WrestleManias, your Royal Rumbles, your King of the Ring. That's what you were booking to. And then Triple H books now. Triple H will give you a little something right now in January 2026. And then like December 31st, 2026, Triple H will go, oh, you remember this? Oh, let me go ahead and pay that off. And they were talking about it in season 2, episode 3 of Unreal, where they were saying that, you know what? They were telling the story with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman for a long time. Mackenzie, I'm asking you. I'm not asking you, I'm begging you. Don't phone this one in yet. Wait a little bit. Understand that this new era that we're in is really different. And we may not get what we want today, but if we wait patient enough, we may get it tomorrow. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's not like the olden days, 3, 4, 5 years ago, to where you were watching WWE and it's like, oh, whatever happened to that storyline? AEW even had to do that. They got to cut storylines. They move so slowly through the storylines now in the WWE that it's like there's things happening in the background that if you miss the background, you're going to miss the whole story altogether. Chelsea Green, mid-Carter. She's able to buy land, build a home, build a life. She's stable. She also represents Chelsea Green. She represents a new generation of women, of athletes, of women that compete at a high level, who want families. And here's the shift from episode 2. Episode 2 was about contracts. It was about possibility. Without big superstars, you just have skies. Without systems, you don't have stars. And this leads us to the machine itself. You see, this episode, they're building to SummerSlam. It's about positioning the pieces. This episode of Unreal was like a chess move. They were just moving pieces around. Seth wins Money in the Bank. Triple H is not too thrilled with that money in the bank win, and I think that was pretty cool to see as well too. And if you were watching that and saw that Triple H wasn't too thrilled with it, like Triple H, when Chris Park, Abyss, he's the agent of the match, looked like he was probably the main agent. And he was out there explaining, yeah, I want to do, this is the idea. And Triple H was like, that's a great idea. But how about we get so much more with it, right? The way that Triple H was explaining to Chris Park that he wanted to get more mileage out of that finish of the match, there's a lot of guys that wrestle on the indies that think that way. I used to always, I'm not going to lie, I was one of those guys to where I'd be sitting around and I'd be saying, you know what? How do we get more out of that? Triple H wasn't thrilled with the LA Knight finish. Don't get it wrong. That could have been just for the TV, for WWE Unreal. But I like the fact that we don't really see employees or contractors of the WWE getting chastised by the bosses, by the people that are in charge. Maybe that's something that they reserved for off the camera, and if that's the case, I love that. But creative friction, it exists in the WWE. It's controlled. This feels like storytelling, and it feels less like storytelling and more like project management. But here's the thing. I enjoy seeing the magic exposed because I've been in it. For casual fans, it's revealing. For me, it's fascinating. It's the brilliance of Unreal. It invites us inside as the general audience just enough. So after episode 2's uncertainty, what does episode 3 really accomplish? I'll tell you. Episode 3, it restores the direction. Episode 2, it felt really heavy. It was really emotional. Episode 3 was really structured. There was no contract tension, no emotional fallout. It was just planning. They're getting ready to lead us into SummerSlam. And it felt less corporate that episode and more creative. And it was still always controlled. It doesn't respond to the criticism. It doesn't ignore it. It just keeps moving. And I think that was the biggest flex of the episode altogether. We ran a poll, a survey. And in the survey was asking, where's the survey? I have it up here. Does WWE have a clear long-term vision right now? I'm going to say yes. It's obvious. It's obvious they have a long-term plan right now. If you hang around, you're going to keep seeing it. What you guys said, 43% of the audience said it's a little bit too early to tell. There's a two-way tie between yes, it's obvious, and somewhat, but it's evolving. Yeah, it's obvious. I think it's obvious. You got the people right now that they're putting into a position to possibly be in the future. You saw Triple H telling Braun Breaker, hey, bro, we're going to give you the ball. But before you get the ball, go out there and play like you're in the main event. That's what we're asking you to do. Episode 1 showed us the grind. Episode 2, it showed us the cost. Episode 3, it showed us the plan. This isn't reactionary booking. This is architecture. The vision looks clear. The chess pieces are moving. But having a blueprint doesn't guarantee the building stands. Episode 4, we'll be talking about that next week, next Wednesday at noon. We'll be talking about that. Episode 4 will tell us whether this vision actually works. Well, thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with me this evening. I'll be back Saturday. We're going to do another show on Saturday. Got a lot going on in the life, but I'm so glad that you guys are here. Thank you, everybody that took the time to watch. I told you I will get you out of here to go watch AEW in time. Don't let me be a little dirty secret. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm Tristan Law. This is the Tristan Law Show, and I'll see you next time.
Flashing red lights, driving at night, windowless ride, feeling alive, nothing in sight, forever in flight, follow those, yeah.